Welcome to the Fight with Teddy Atlas, presented by Dynamic Striking. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by the voice of all combat sports, the boxing legend, Teddy Atlas. Teddy, how you doing?
Good. Just had a nice weekend with my grandkids and with my daughter and her family. Friday went down to where they live down in Jersey, and most of you know by now they moved there. But down there, they had Grandparents' Day. It's nice to have Grandparents' Day. You know, they always have Parents' Day, but it's nice they think of the grandparents. So my 4-year-old granddaughter, me and my wife, went to her school and saw her in class and all the things that she does, and spent half of the day with her in that kind of surroundings with her friends, her teachers. It was nice. And then Saturday stayed over, and then Saturday went to all the games, like we used to do when our kids were little. Went to started at 8 in the morning, going to soccer, then moving over to flag football, then switching over to soccer, and then switching over to ice cream. Because, after all that, you have to switch over and finish up with ice cream. So it was nice. It was nice to be down there. And then now my son just took a red eye last night, just got in this morning, and we're leaving tomorrow for Saudi Arabia, Riyadh to be exact. He's going with me, as usual, to be out there to see the Bivol Beterbiev fight, which should be a classic. You would think. And I know you're down in Florida. Thank God the weather's good. I believe where you are. We send our prayers to all the people down there in the South Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, all those areas that got hit by the terrible storms down there, the hurricane. We really want to, from the people here with the podcast, I want to represent all of us and say we're sending our prayers to all those people that have been impacted by those storms. And now I hear there's another storm possibly coming behind it, which again, our prayers are with everybody that they're gonna be okay. And I hope you're okay. I know you are. You're down there with your family. I think you're in the Panhandle. You're in the area where I believe near where Roy Jones Jr. came from, Pensacola area.
Yep.
So hope all's well there. I know you had a race too. I want to mention it in Lake Tahoe. Beautiful place, very scenic. I've been up there for fights, obviously over the years, many times. And matter of fact, had one of my favorite fighters of all time. He just got into the New York Sports Hall of Fame, Boxing Hall of Fame. Tyrone the Harlem Butcher Jackson, great puncher, tremendous fighter, but even better person. We fought Tony the Tiger Lopez up there in the Lake Tahoe area. Oh my God, how many years ago?
You got here in time to acclimate, because that altitude at Lake Tahoe is incredibly difficult.
We went there 2 weeks ahead. 2 weeks does it, and all that stuff. But yeah, a beautiful area. It gets chilly there. Was it chilly? Yep. Even though it's the middle of the summer, it gets chilly up there. You get some snow on top of the ridges up there. But I know you did good in the race. You came in second, and obviously, how many people in the race there? It was a 3-day race. I know that.
It was like 300 people, 3 days, between 26 and 29 miles a day. Very, very challenging event, but yeah, not super competitive. It's an event called 29029 Trail Event. First year they've done this one. But super high-end event, stayed at the Ritz-Carlton. It was, like I said, it wasn't super competitive, but that's not the goal of this one. There's plenty of competitive races out there for people looking for that. This was more of people just
the elite.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or you said enough when you said the what hotel? St. Regis? No, which one did you just? Oh, Ritz. Even worse. Even worse. Let me start running. Sam, you got a pair of running shoes you can lend me, please? I want to get into running. I got into the wrong sport. I got into boxing. But
It was a far cry from sleeping in a tent each night in Kenya, that's for sure. It was a nice break, though.
thank God you made the right, not the left, where the lions were.
With the elephants?
No,
Yeah.
elephants. You would have got squashed.
Yeah.
But we have fights to talk about, and we cover everything. We cover the 3 fights. We got one UFC fight, which everybody was waiting to see the great Pereira. But we also have 2 boxing matches that took place, one on Friday, one on Saturday. And then, of course, we're going to have the preview at the end of the fight in Saudi Arabia. So let's get at it.
Let's do it. If there was a common theme this weekend, it was the favorites did what they were supposed to do. But my God, did the challengers and the opponents take beatings. That seemed to be the theme of the whole night. I mean, starting with the Nick Ball, Ronny Rios fight. My God, this Nick Ball, I mean this with all due respect. He looks so small in the ring. He's 5'2". His arms look incredibly short.
I guarantee you, he don't look small to the opponent.
100%. Again, no disrespect, but when you're looking at it, you're like, how is the guy has an engine that won't quit. He would not get off. He would not get off Ronny Rios. Every time Rios, and Rios was hitting him back with shots, but Ball was just too much all
I
day
think Rios was his guy, where Frank Warren, who does a tremendous job, one of the best promoters in the world, or probably one of the best promoters of all time. I mean, they do. He's been around a long time. His legacy is there. His body of work speaks for itself. I'll tell you, they handed him one. He won the title. He might have got shortchanged in Saudi when he fought for the title. He got a draw. Most people thought he won a fight. It was a close fight. I thought he won a fight, but I was there. I thought he won it. But then he comes back and he wins the title in a very tough fight against a fighter that I respect a lot, that I think a lot of, Ford. I mean, it was a really close fight, really close. And could have went either way. It went to Ball over in Saudi. But Ford is, I'll say it again, he's a really good fighter. And so now it seems after all those tough fights, 2 tough fights in a row, that I'm not going to say they gave him a gimme, but they gave him a little bit of easier one for his first title defense for Ball. A little bit of an easier. I mean, a tough guy, Ronny Rios, experienced. He's now 34-5 with 17 knockouts. He's 34 years old. He's 7 years older than Nick Ball, and he's lost 5
inches
times.
Taller.
Yeah, he's a tall guy, but he's lost 5 times. 4 times he's been stopped now. So, and always were good fighters. I mean, he's fought now 3 times for the world title. So it's not like he's losing to, he's not losing to chopped liver, put it that way.
Right.
Like the old timers would say, or the old Jewish guys would say, that he ain't chopped liver,
He definitely represented himself, Teddy, because he got hit with bombs
100%.
all night, and he wasn't going away.
And he is big, but small is short in stature as far as that goes. But he is tall, Rios, but he doesn't fight tall. He didn't use his jab a lot to keep a lot of separation. He, he's right there. And one of the things that I thought was made to order for Ball, the style of Rios, is that he puts the earmuffs on, he covers up. And he covers up, he's in front of you. He gives you a target to hit. He covers up, he handcuffs himself by covering up. And when he puts those earmuffs on like that, he's in front of you. He's not that, he's not like you got to go looking for him a lot. And it's an invitation to go to the body. And Ball's a good body puncher. I thought Ball could have went to the body even more, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he went to the body, he went to the head. But what he really does, Ball, who's now, I think now he's 20-0-1, or is he 21-0-1? But he's the WBA featherweight champ. What he does, he comes at you in bursts. He comes at you in waves, where he machine guns punches. He'll put and he mixes them up nicely. He mixes them up nicely. He'll go from the body to the head. He'll go from direct punches to uppercuts. He'll put them together, move them around, create havoc, create openings. That's what good fighters should do. Not just throwing, but throwing directed at places. And he does that well. He also gets caught sometimes. He got caught some good shots. His nose would attest to that. He got his nose busted up. His nose would attest to that. He gets hit jabs sometimes because at times he doesn't judge the range perfectly. No fighters do sometimes, but he's always looking to be aggressive. So sometimes with a taller guy, a longer guy, he'll forget where the distance starts and ends. What I mean by that, where the distance of where he can hit the guy, get close enough to hit the guy, but he's still in range to get hit. Where he sometimes misnegotiates the range of the guy's jab in particular, where the end of it is and where he's inside it, where he's safe, or where he's still at a distance where it can catch him. And there was sometimes I think he thought he was out of range, he was still a little in range. And he got to go. But I'll give him credit. All of a sudden, late in the fight, he changed that. He judged the distance and navigated the distance, the understanding of the distance, which is very important. Much better, especially in the 10th round. The 10th round wound up being the last round. But he navigated that distance much, much better. And again, he used his jab ball too. He'll come in behind that. He landed a right hand at the end because he used the jab. He didn't just swing away. He used the jab to set up the right to close the gap. He closes gaps fast. He does that really well. The first knockdown he scored in the fight was he'll run punches, 5 punches, 6 punches on you. Then he'll stop. And then, he'll step out or he'll regroup. And then he'll run him again. This one, I thought he really cleverly ran back-to-back. He ran him back-to-back. He ran, instead of running 5-6 and stopping, he added another 5-6. And he ran him consecutively. And he scored the knockdown. He gave the guy nowhere to go. The guy, it was a rainstorm, and the guy being covered up, Rios, being that guy, being covered up. See, the problem with covering up, it's nice to cover up. The problem is, if you don't move your head, the guy's got you handcuffed because he knows while he's hitting you, you can't really hit back. It's hard to hit back without getting caught. But if you move your head, you kind of keep the guy from running punches in combination because once you move your head and a punch misses you, now he knows he's vulnerable. The guy throwing knows he's vulnerable, and he knows that he's got to go defensive or he's going to get caught. But when he's throwing and you're just covered up and he's throwing, he's not vulnerable. He knows that as long as he's throwing, for the most part, he's going to keep you defensive. But again, if you move your head and he misses, now he's got to worry. He can't throw 5-6 at one sitting. He's got to throw 1 or 2 moves and then negotiate again to get him room and distance to figure out what to throw. Rios doesn't do a lot of that. And when he covers up, again, he invites a rainstorm. He invites a pouring of punches. And you don't got to invite Nick Ball twice. I mean, you invite him once, he's there to stay. He ain't leaving. He's there to stay. He
was relentless all night. He's fun to watch.
No pun intended, but he's a ball of fire. He's a ball of fire. He's fun to watch. Frank Warren says he's the most exciting fighter out there right now. It's hard to argue. He's definitely in the top few of guys that are fun to watch. There's no doubt about that.
The other thing I like about him, Teddy, is because he's short and you look at him, he looks like a little boy from down the street, just like a short little boy from that's on your soccer team. Then you see him unload these punches and you're like, holy shit, this guy is like a ferocious grown man. He looks very unintimidating and fights
and
like
he
a
speaks
terrorizer.
well.
Yeah.
He speaks well
really
in
nice.
A very humble tone. Part of it's the accent. I love the accent, but in a very humble tone. He does. Somebody asked him. One of the guys asked him after the fight about you got you got hit, you got, like they say, you got nicked up a little, you got a bloody nose, and he says, "Oh, yeah, it's part of what happens in there." Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no kidding. Like, yeah, it's part of the job. It's part of what goes along with it. Yeah, you get a bloody nose sometimes, but I thought that there was something clever he did he didn't get credit for. He switches lefty and righty. The commentators mentioned that, don't get me wrong. But it's not just being tough and relentless. He's thinking in there too. He's switching simultaneously, seamlessly. A lot of guys, when they switch lefty to righty, you see it. You have chance to get ready for the difference in your mind. You see it in your mind, you recognize it, and you have a chance to say, okay, now he's coming at me from a southpaw, or he's coming at me from orthodox. But he does it in midstream. He does it as the punches are flowing. When he's in rhythm in front of you, he seamlessly has a way of switching over to the other side. And the problem that causes for his opponent is that 1 minute certain punches are coming from one direction, and the next second, without, as I said already, without any forecasting of it, without any pre-warning of it, now the punches are coming from another direction. That's a problem, an extra problem. Not just the amount of punches, but that little trick, that little subtle change where the punches are coming from different places than they were a half a minute ago or 10 seconds ago. And without any warning that there is a change in direction to be expected. So that's something he does very cleverly and, again, very seamlessly. The other thing is what I said. He mixes the punches up really well. You can always improve on defense. His defense isn't bad. He's not a catcher. He's not a guy. A lot of times you think a guy who's a seek and destroy type guy, they're just going to take to give. No, he's a little more advanced than that. He's definitely more advanced than that. That's part of why he was able to fight the kind of fight he did with Ford to win this title, because Ford is a really good counterpuncher and a very polished fighter. So if he was just a walk-in guy that gets hit with everything you throw at him, he would not be there with the WBA featherweight title right now. So good. Again, I'm not saying it was a layup. It wasn't, but they gave him the right fight that he deserved to be given for his first title defense over there at home. And they gave the fans what they wanted. His fans a chance to see him as a world champion. And to perform there in front of them all. So it was a terrific show. And again, a good performance by Rios, where he showed a lot of heart. He took a lot of shots. The uppercut was a big part of the night for both fighters. Ball got hit some uppercuts. Rios, because of that stance that he takes with the hands up, you can split the guard with the uppercut. You can split the guard with a straight right hand down the middle. Ball recognized that. Another thing that Ball recognized is the cerebralness of a champion, where he noticed that when Rios covered up, you couldn't get into his chin from the sides with the hooks as much as you wanted to, although he did drop him with a left hook when he closed the gap. So what he did was he redirected the punches, Ball did, behind the gloves, behind the ear. And he had some success doing that. Again, that's recognition, that's being calm in an uncommon environment, and that's being smart. All part of being a world champion. Next! As my barber would say, as I look at my man Sam with a shaved head. I don't know.
Next up's different fight, same theme. Janabek Alimkhanuly versus Mikhailovich. Kazakh versus Russian.
Could you say that again? I was impressed with that. That really.
Janabek, Alimkhanuly, and Andrei Mikhailovich. Mikhailovich is a Russian living in New Zealand, and obviously Janabek is the Kazakh. The same theme as the ball fight. Janabek put it on him all night long, but my God, was Mikhailovich took a beating. He couldn't get rid of him. At times I was like, is this guy going to come back? I think he was down in the third and the seventh, if I'm not mistaken, the second or the third. But and it looked like it was over early. But my God,
should have been over.
Chin on this guy.
Should have been over. That referee was horrible. That referee was horrible.
Yeah, that's very, very,
very no, horrible.
I mean,
horrible.
At one point, the bell rang, and he just kept battering Mikhailovich all over the ring. Then the bell rang again when he got knocked down, and I would argue that's the knockdown.
I don't even know.
Made the count.
I don't even know when the bell rang because it was such chaos, and the commentators didn't clear the way. Really,
no one understood. Really the bell rang. The bell rang, and I'd say he battered Mikhailovich for probably another 10 to 15 seconds, knocked him down as the bell sounded again, and he made the 10 count, but I think that's where you're talking that the ref could have and should have stopped it, but took a beating all night, kept coming. At times I was like, is he going to turn this around? Like, I mean, he really is. Kid is tough.
He wasn't polished enough, Ken.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
But tough.
He was tough as they come.
Not enough skill.
You know what I was thinking? What you're talking about? What I was thinking was this. I was thinking, what a shame someone hasn't taught this kid how to fight.
Good point.
Because with his toughness, he should be a world champion. Yeah. He is tough and he's physically pretty strong with punch a little bit. With his intestinal fortitude, with the things that you can't teach, if he got the things you can teach, he would be something to reckon with because, to your point, he's so game, so gritty. And he was trying to fight his way back into this fight. But at the end of the day, it really was will versus skill. Yes. I usually pick will.
Yeah.
But Customato, my mentor, always told me, Teddy, will's going to beat skill. Every time. When the skill is comparable. But when the skill is not comparable, when one man's skill is so far superior, kind of like, here's a comparison, it's kind of like you could have the most willful, let's say, high school player in the world. I mean, he is the toughest they come already, even in high school, the toughest, and you're going to put him in with Michael Jordan to play a game of basketball. His will is great, and maybe even a college kid, maybe his will is up to par with Michael Jordan's. Even though Michael Jordan was at a superior level. There's other people with superior wills too. Maybe it's there, but his skill will not be close enough to allow the will to dominate, the will to do its job, the will to, at the end of the day, to triumph in the way that it will when the skills are fairly even. And that was the case of this. His will
he was 21-0 coming into the fight.
Yeah, but who did he fight 21-0?
No, you're right.
He didn't fight this. I'm gonna call them their first names, okay? If you don't mind, I'm gonna go with the champion Janabek and the challenger Andre.
Yeah,
Andre hadn't been in with the kind of opponents, the kind of opposition to see where he came up short yet.
Yeah,
to really see, wow, we got to get better defensively. Wow, we got to get better at working our way in, not reaching in, not throwing wide punches. He didn't fight the kind of guys that really sent that memo to him. And he has now. But I don't know if he's with the people that will improve him or that can improve. I don't know. But I will say again that it was a testament to his courage. Also to the incompetence of the ref. Because that fight, as we got into the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round, eighth round, I started to say, you know what? I applaud Andre for his gameness, But this fight shouldn't be going on anymore
Yeah.
because it should have been stopped in a second. It should have been stopped. And now he's taking punishment. It was, I mean, it was a caveman, and I'm not knocking Andre, but it was a caveman with a club versus another warrior that has bow and arrows and a shield and maybe even a gun. I mean, that's how...
Yeah, I agree. That's a perfect description. That's exactly what it looked like. Credit to Andre, though. At times, towards the middle of the fight, I was like, is he going to stage a comeback? This is crazy. At one point early in the fight, Janibek was clowning him and hitting him with shots from every direction. It looked like a foregone conclusion. And then middle rounds, it looked like, holy shit, the guy's like staging a comeback here. It looks like he's doing something, but it was shut down quickly.
Instinctively, what he was doing, Ken, for the fans out there, that what he was doing, and they saw it, but I'll say it and make it clear. He was doing what he could do. As far as defense, his defense was to throw, but also to smother.
Yeah.
He was smothering because he knew that when Janibek had range, when he had room, he was just like a surgeon slicing them apart.
That's a good point.
You know, uppercuts, jabs, right hands. He's a southpaw, by the way, Janibek. And it was just
like he was putting on an exhibition.
It was. And you're right. And he was, like you said, he was clowning in the second round. He was, every time there was range, he knew his style. Janibek's style is, he can hit you with the jab, keep you at the end of his punches, or he can counterpunch. When he saw Andre coming in from too far away, you know, throwing wide punches, you know, throwing more, you know, primitive punches compared to the straight ones that Janibek throws. When he saw that, he said, "Oh, it's a field day. I'm gonna catch him on his way in. He's gonna do my work for me, at least half of it. He's gonna come into my punches, so he's gonna help me. He's gonna walk right into where I can throw these counter punches and land clean." And he was doing that. He dropped him. He hurt him. He thought he stopped him in the second round. And then after that, the only hope Andre had in his corner was to make it an ugly fight. And that's what he did everything to make it an ugly, brawling type fight where he got in, he smothered him, he got close, he threw some wide shots up top, some looping shots, landed some shots. As long as he could stay close and he could smother Janibek, he could get into the later parts of the fight, which he did. But that changed because then Janibek started showing another dimension that he has on the inside. Even though he's got good long arms and he likes to fight at a range, he started throwing short combinations inside. And when he did that, well, then the gig was up. Then even this tough kid that could smother, that could make it ugly, that could hang around, even then, at that point, there was no refuge. There was no getting out of the storm. The storm, you know, it's one thing when you're outside and the storm is outside and you find the cave. All right, get in the cave. Get away from the storm. So he found the cave. He got inside. He got away from the storm. But then all of a sudden, there started to be a storm inside the cave.
Yep.
All of a sudden, the short little shots on the inside that Janibek was able to generate gave him no relief. There was nowhere else to go. And finally caught him again with a little range. I think it was the 9th round, Ken. Again, he caught him with some range, and he dropped him. Here's the thing that makes me wonder about this ref. I think it speaks for itself. I'm just here to point it out. But I think that it speaks for itself that the ref did a horrible job, especially in the second round. I think somebody might have spoken to him, commissioned somebody, and said, "Hey, that fight should have been stopped. This kid's taking a beating. If he gets dropped again like that, you know, if something like that happens again, you better make up for what you didn't do in the second round. You better stop it. I mean, you better be alert. That second round should have been stopped. And then in the ninth round, after all the punishment, everything else, the whole night, all of a sudden he gets dropped one clean shot. Bang, the referee jumps right in. Jumps right in, where he was hesitant to do that all night. It makes me wonder, maybe it's because I've been in this business too long, but nothing goes past me. I don't doubt the possibility of anything with this business. But I'm just wondering if somebody said, hey, come on, sharpen up a little here, guy. Be ready to stop it. He gets dropped. He got dropped, bang, he stepped right in. Andre deserves full applause, which I give him, for showing the heart he did. Again, if it was a writing contest, it was like one guy had a concrete tablet with a chisel and hammer, and the other guy had a typewriter. I mean, it was there was no comparison to the skill levels or to the development of technique. You had a polished guy in there with a guy that just he didn't know how to fight in a way that top guys should know how to fight, but he did have half of it. He had probably the most important half. He knew how to behave. He knew how to behave like a fighter.
Yeah, definitely. He would be hard pressed to be a good sparring partner for Janabek on any day. I mean, it was just too one-sided, to your point. But all right, let's jump over to the UFC. Before we do, let me remind everyone that
not Athletic Greens.
Yes, Athletic Greens, of course. We would
wait. Let me. What was the name of that guy? I did him one. The great Johnny Carson show. What was his name? The great Carmack.
Amazing Kreskin.
No. Amazing Kreskin was another guy. He read your mind. But it was the great Carmack. The great Carmack. Let me think. Here. Where's my hat? I don't need my hat. Oh my. Yes, Athletic Greens.
Athletic Greens, made from 75 whole food sourced ingredients. It's the all-in-one green drink. Take a scoop every morning before you get out the house and make sure you got an insurance policy for your body's health and immunity. As you know, we never go anywhere without the travel packs. If you register now and sign up for your first monthly subscription, they'll send you 10 free travel packs with your first purchase. athleticgreens.com/Atlas. For all your vitamin and mineral needs, Athletic Greens. Let's jump over to the UFC. Same theme as the two boxing matches. We had the champion doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Absolutely batters the opponent, but credit to Khalil Rountree. He was there all night, game as can be. He took a ferocious beating. His face was an absolute mess, as bad as I've seen in the UFC in a long time. He was busted up real bad, the nose, the eye. But credit to Roundtree for sticking in there and giving it his all. But once Alex Pereira got the ball rolling in his direction, as you would say, he closed the show. He became the finisher that we know him to be. Finished him with a vicious body shot. It was actually hard to watch at the end because Khalil Rountree's such a nice guy. But Alex Pereira is just operating on another level. How'd you like that one?
I'm going to add a little something to it and correct one thing. Not that it's way off, but just one thing to make it, I think, give credit to Roundtree for more than just being game. It was not one-sided until it became one-sided. That first round was an even round. It could have went either way. The second round I gave to Roundtree. When's the last time you saw anybody possibly win 2 rounds against Pereira? It's been a long time. I don't know.
Just
Izzy.
Yeah.
Izzy, the great Izzy. And Pereira has developed an advance since then, like I like to say. And now you hear everyone say it. But I think I was the first one really to say it. I really do.
Yeah, no, you're right.
To bring it out. Where I said, winning a world title improves you 30%. And that I didn't create that. Customato, the old timers, and Customato told me that. Teddy, guy wins a world title, he automatically becomes 30% better. I hear everyone saying it now. But it's true. And Pereira Pereira has, where it would seem impossible, he has become better. And he's even better than that. I don't know how to exactly tangibly understand this. But tell me if I'm in a other orbit or not, Ken. But this man looks like he got huge. Like I don't know, part of it is his aura, but
Yeah.
he got so big. I know he went up in weight, but I don't know how he made the weight he was making at middleweight. I don't know how he was doing that. But I look at him now and I say, oh my God, that guy, he's big. And he looked so much bigger than Roundtree, who's not
And
small.
Rountree's big. Rountree's got muscles like a bodybuilder. He's huge.
He looks so big. And that's part of what he brings. Can you imagine what he looks to the opponent when he stares at them the way he does?
Kicks.
Oh, and when he stares at him with those hollow eyes, I mean, before the fight even starts, that's all part of Pereira. That's all part of it. That's the whole package. So the only thing I would correct you on is that he didn't just survive Roundtree to get there to the fourth round. He started getting broken down in the third, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
but
no, you're right. Roundtree brought it.
He was way better than that. And what I'm also going to add to that is, when we did our thing with my bookie, I said, look, Pereira's a big favorite. I love Pereira. Obviously, you got to be on the side of Pereira. But when we do our handicapping for the people out there with my bookie, I'm looking for a play that could make sense, not to go and use your mortgage money, but that could take some extra money and have a shot at a live dog. I told people, I think Rountree's a live dog. And I'm going to stand by that. Yeah, he got broken down. He got what he got at the end. I get it. He was a live dog. And you could see the reason why, I think you could see the reason why I would pick him as a live dog and give him a shot, which I did, even though at the end, Pereira was good. I figured he would prevail, and he did. But it was worth a little shot because he shook up Pereira a couple times. That's why I don't think you could say, oh, he just, demolished him. No. At the end, he got him demolished. But before he got to the end, there were moments where he shook up Pereira. And he's a southpaw. I think that played to it for Roundtree. But also, I think he's a good, smart, solid striker. He's a guy that knew when to punch, when not to. He's a good counterpuncher. He's a guy that he had a good fight plan for while it lasted with Pereira, where when he backed him up, he didn't do it carelessly, recklessly. Pereira eats off of people's mistakes. He just devours your mistakes. You come in a little fat, a little reckless, from a little too far away, leave a little space, you're dead. You're dead.
And he never lets you breathe. He was on him all night.
But he's also going to counterpunch you. When you come in, he'll let you come in. He'll walk into a counter left hook or a counter right, but usually left hook. He's got a great left hook. Short, hard, impactful, explosive, Joe Louis type. Incredible. But he can kick like hell. He's got all the other dimensions. He's explosive. Everywhere a man can be explosive. He's scary. Everywhere a man can be scary.
By the way, Teddy, Izzy says his feet are like hammers. He said when he throws that low kick, he says it hurt. No one else kicks like that. He's like, it's literally like getting hit with a hammer every time he kicks you in the leg. And he only got a few of them on Roundtree from Rountree's southpaw stance. But when he did kick him, you could tell that it had a big impact, big effect on the leg.
Yeah, no, he's big, he's strong. Everything he does hurts. I mean, there's nothing about him that's gentle.
Yeah.
His look, his physicality, nothing that's gentle. I mean, he doesn't do anything, with a feather duster. He does everything with a sledgehammer. And
There's no silent agreements with him.
No, this is a guy, and again, I thought Roundtree, I want to give him his full credit. I thought him and his people had a good fight plan, but against a very special guy, but a good fight plan. They didn't come in reckless. They didn't come into his strengths. They didn't help. They didn't give him anything free. They didn't give Pereira a chance to catch him coming in like some people have. He used his jab to come in, the southpaw jab. He doubled it up to make sure he closed the gap properly where he wasn't leaving space to get counted. So he did that really. And then he got out. He got the hell out of town. He didn't stay around for the counters. You can't lay around in front of Pereira. You got to go off to the side. You got to get your shots in, get out. If you stay around, he's going to catch you off the counter. You can't do that. He did a good job. He dropped Pereira, actually. So that's another reason why I want to give him credit. I guess it was the second round. Yeah, the second round. He dropped Pereira with a shot where he got Pereira out of position, off balance, and then he dropped him. But what broke him down from the third round on really started before the third. It started with what you touched on, with him slowly but surely, his presence, the pressure, inching his way in, not reckless, behind that big giant jab where Pereira just slowly, gradually, consistently applies the pressure.
It seemed slow initially, but once you noticed how much
then he speeds it up.
It was like a tidal wave. It was like he couldn't get away.
That's when you're broken. But before you're broken, it's slow, it's gradual, it's inch by inch. He's smart. He's not getting reckless. If he got reckless, he would have got counted. He might have got dropped again by Roundtree. He's respectful. He understands that. He's got a great guy in the corner in Texera, former champion. Great. And they have a great chemistry. And they're doing great work together. And they're getting to even higher plateaus.
Yeah.
When he's closing the gap, when he's there with his aura, with his size, with his presence, with all of that, it drains you. You know what? I made a note to myself. It was like watching a vice be tightened.
Yeah.
You ever, Ken, you watch a vice, you put a can, Sam, you put a can in a vice, and you start tightening it, and you watch the can start to just crumble, start to bend, start to collapse. That's what watching Pereira to me is like. Watching somebody trapped in a vice, and you keep tightening the vice until it chokes the air out of him, until he's not there no more. That's what Pereira does. Forget about the kicks, forget about the left hook. All that's what it is. It's magnificent, it's special, it's spectacular. But the presence, and it starts before the fight starts. It starts at the weigh-in. It starts at the stand down. It starts in the corners when they're getting ready for the first bell, where he looks across at you. And you're looking at him. It reminds me of the movie where Denzel Washington asked that the Russian killer, assassin who was sent over to kill him, he asked him, the Russian killer asked him, "What do you see when you look in my eyes?" And then Denzel Washington gives him whatever answer. And then at the end he says, "What do you see when you look in my eyes?" And you see darkness. You see darkness. I think people that looked into Roberto Duran's eyes when he was Roberto Duran as lightweight champ, I think they saw the same thing. I think people that looked into Sonny Liston's eyes when he was heavyweight champ, I think they saw the same thing. I think, unless they were Muhammad Ali, of course. But there was many that did not see anything except darkness. I think to a point with Tyson, when he was Tyson, when he was destroying people. Same thing. I think Pereira has that point too. Pereira has taken it to another place where people start calling it voodoo. Where people start,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, really, he's taken it.
No,
which,
I know.
In those countries they do practice that, but they take it now, where that's part of his mystique. That's part of his weaponry. That's part of, again, the aura. He brings the whole package where he's already draining you when he looks at you. And then he backs it up with the physical stuff that's behind it. And then you say, oh my God, I am in there with the real boogeyman. Like, just continually draining you. Just where it always drains you, where he becomes the real live boogeyman that we told our grandkids and our kids doesn't exist. But I think that all of a sudden it exists inside that octagon for whoever's fighting him. And Robbie, the clip on this one is from John Wick. I know there's 100 John Wicks. There was 4 of them. But one of the early John Wicks, where John Wick, and they called him the Russian gangster. They gave him his name. What was it? I wish you could remember, Ken. It was something like Bubiaga. And somebody asked him when the Russian gangster said to somebody, "Oh no, Boogie Aga's coming," and he said, "Boogie Aga? Boogie Aga? Who's Boogie Aga?" He says,
It's John Wick.
You know what fictional character I think about when I think about that is Kaiser Sose from The Usual Suspects, how they created that fake persona. I love that movie.
But no, that's a good one. But he didn't kill people. But
he was a whole mythical character.
Yeah,
they thought he was like
Bobby Aga. Yeah, I know, Bobby Aga. He kills and you can't kill him. Until you got to John Wick 4. Then you could kill him. But you had to get to John Wick 4, Sam. You had to get to that. I'm telling you, that is part of the great mystique, the great package of this special fighter, Pereira. I'll finish up the analysis by just saying he uses everything. Great kicks. He in boxing, I always say, you got to go to the body, take the air out of the tires. If another guy moves on you, you want to remove the air from the radios by going to the body. Well, in this sport, in UFC and MMA, they do it by kicking the other guy's legs. And Pereira, wow. When he kicks the legs of the opponents, in this case, Roundtree, forget about tires. The car, at the end of the day, is up on milk carts. It's got no wheels left. No, it is, Sam. It's like seeing, the guys that, scavenge the cars, that rob the cars, and they leave nothing but the chassis. I mean, there's nothing left. There's nothing left to the car.
That's pretty much what Roundtree looked like at the end of that fight. He was battered.
At the end, the poor guy, the game guy, Roundtree, he's a good puncher. He's got power. He's got speed. He's a good fighter. And he had the right fight plan up until it wasn't a right fight plan anymore. It didn't matter because part of the fight plan was to get off, get out. Not lay in front too long with this strong guy who counters, who's always got you in his sights, who never lets up on that vice, that pressure. But by the third round, with all the damage done to the legs and that steady inpouring of pressure from the beginning, like I said, it wears you down. It's like I always say, like looking at a puddle in the middle of July and the sun's beating on the puddle. You come back a half hour later, there's no puddle. It got evaporated by the sun. He evaporates you. By the fourth round, it was over because he didn't have legs anymore. There was no more wheels to the car. He could not do what you have to do with Pereira. Get in, get out. Get off, catch him. You can catch him. You can catch him standing straight up. You can catch him, he's got a floor. He goes straight back on the line. You can go with him.
That's what makes him exciting. Like he has like a vulnerability that you could see someone exploiting. No one's been able to do it though, except Izzy, obviously.
You could 100%. You can, if you go with them without reaching, if you reach, you're going to get counted on the way in. But if you go with them the way that Roundtree did behind the jab, you can catch them. You can make them pay a price. Standing straight up, you can catch them. But you cannot go and chastise the devil too many times. You can't, stay in front of him and think you're getting away with it, because you're not going to get away with it. At the end, Roundtree made a gallant stand. He slugged away with him, Ken, in that fourth round. Did you see that? I mean, he opened up. Now, that's not what you got to do with him. I mean, maybe you catch him, you knock him out. But that's all he could do. At that point, that's all Roundtree was left to do, was to either roll into a ball, into a fetal position, which he ain't going to do. These MMA fighters, they're not going to do that for the most part. They got a code to live by. So they're not going to do that. Or you make your last stand like the Alamo. And to me, that was the Alamo. That was his last stand in the fourth round. Yeah, it wasn't what you would, it's not what you would advise someone to do. Stand in front of Pereira and just slug it out with him. But that's all he had left. And he gave it everything he could. And then it was over. Then he got pushed against the ropes or the fence. And as you said, he selected his punches. Not just a big, strong guy, smart too. Pereira selected his punches well. He went to the body. He went down to the body with two beautiful body shots and then an uppercut. I don't know what came first, but the uppercut made sense too. And it was over. It was just, I want to see only 2 fights at this point with Pereira that I think it could be competitive and actually at this point could continue to bring the best out of Pereira, who hasn't been around that long, but he's fought everybody right from the beginning.
I think it was 3 years ago this time. Yeah. He wasn't even in the UFC. It was either 3 or 4 years ago, but I think it's 3.
And not that many fights. Incredible. But there's only 2 fights now, Ken. Only 2 fights I really want to see that I think would be interesting to see with Pereira and his greatness. One is against John Jones. He can move up to heavyweight. I looked at him. I said, question. That guy's a heavyweight. That guy's a heavyweight. And John Jones is the GOAT. I want, if he gets past Stipe, and Stipe is one of the greats of all time, heavyweights. If he gets past Stipe, who's unbelievable, but he's getting old. But if he could get past Stipe in November, then I'd like to see Pereira and Jones. Or if he could go down in weight, which Pereira had suggested he could, but he wouldn't right now because his stablemate, who he works with, Strickland, is going to fight Duplessis. So he doesn't want to interfere with that. But once that fight is done, Strickland and Duplessis rematch, I'd either want to see Pereira with John Jones or see if he dropped down and fight Duplessis, who's also a big, strong,
he is a huge guy
who also knows what the hell he's doing too. So,
couple things. DDP, I heard an interview with Izzy on Joe Rogan, and he said something that made me think of you. He said at one point when he was fighting DDP, they were going at it, killing each other. And he said at one point, I forget the round, but he said, we kind of looked at each other and like both took it easy for a few minutes towards the end of one of the rounds. Then he said, I came back out. But it was like what you talk about with the silent agreement where they're like, you know what? We've been going at it, and they both almost silently look at each other and agree, all right, let's both take a break right now and then come out fresh next round. And that's what they did, number one. And number two, when you talk about Alex making weight, how he made 185, it made me think of, I don't know if you saw Kayla Harrison, the 2-time Olympic judo gold medalist in the opening fight on the main card.
Yeah,
she makes it down to 135. She weighed in at 136. I've met her a couple of times at the New York Athletic Club because we used to sponsor her.
She's special, special.
Oh my God. But the thought of her, Teddy, weighing 135, I think she's fought at times at 170. That is a big woman. To think that she made 136, I mean, she looks terrible when she makes weight. I mean, looks like a skeleton. And then she comes out, she's so incredibly dominant. She just manhandled the #1 contender in the division, and now probably going to face the winner of the women's fight, not Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena. But that's a good fight. I don't think anyone can beat Kayla Harrison, but I think about her the same way.
Pena's great. They're all great. Pena's great. But let me tell you, I was surprised at that decision.
Yeah,
I just got to say, since you brought it up, I love Pena.
Yeah.
I love all of them. But I was surprised at that decision. I thought that it was eked out, if it's not the right way to say it, by her, by the champion. Pennington, in that last round.
Good fight.
I thought she got it in that last round. She won the last round, and
I agree.
I thought she got the chance to keep her title. But terrific fight. You mentioned Downtown Athletic Club. If you're
New York
around,
Athletic Club, New York Athletic Club.
New York. I'm sorry, New York Athletic Club. I've been asked to speak there in November.
That's a great dinner. That the all sports dinner.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they're having the fights. They have fights once a year, whatever it is.
Yeah,
so
Artur McCanty Jr. Referees the fight. Artie McCanty Sr. used to call the fights. Really fun events.
No, I've been there before. I've been there a few times, quite a few times. Well, a few times. But they asked me to speak there. They got in touch with my daughter, of course, because nobody could get the caveman over here. I don't even know how to answer whatever that is.
You got to let me know what the dates are. I'd love to come to that one with you.
I think it's towards the end of November. I believe it is. I'm not sure.
Is it around the dinner? Of course, we got the Dr. Atlas Foundation dinner on November 17th or November 20th for anyone that wants.
No, 21st.
21st, the Thursday before Thanksgiving, if anyone's interested in having dinner with me and Teddy and the team here. Rob and Sam will be at the Staten Island Hilton on November 21st for a great cause. If you're in town or you want to come to town, come see us. Dr. Atlas Foundation. You can Google it and find out all the details about the dinner on November 21st.
Thank you. The great thing about the downtown dinner athletic club is that, look, it's a prestigious place. It's a place that's been around forever. It's got history. It's got all that. But that particular night, and like I said, they do this once a year. They have the collegiate boxing championships there. So they got the military academy kids from Navy, you got the Army. West Point, Navy, Army is West Point, of course. Yes, you got them and other colleges that compete with NCAA
Such a
boxing.
good event.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, speaking about a good event, I think we have a pretty good event coming up in 6 days.
Not pretty good. This is a candidate for, possibly event of the decade. This is one of the fights that's been talked about for the last several years. Artur Beterbiev against Dmitry Bivol, the two top dogs at light heavyweight. Both guys are killers. Both guys are undefeated. I mean, I was looking at clips recently I saw on Twitter of Bivol and Canelo. There were times where Bivol was just, dominating Canelo, which you've never seen this kind of domination of him before. Just getting off dozens of punches. But, don't tell the judges that, Ken. Because I had it 11 rounds to 1, but don't tell the judges that had it close. I'm surprised, even in hindsight, that he still got the decision. I'm surprised some of them didn't have Canelo winning, given Canelo's space in the sport. But for our friends at MyBookie, if you're going to wager on the bet, please go to mybookie.ag. You can use the promo code ATLAS for a 50% credit on your first deposit, up to $1,000. So you deposit $2,000, they'll give you an extra $1,000 to bet with if you're so inclined. Please bet responsibly. Go to mybookie.ag. Let's get into a full breakdown, Teddy. But just as you're talking, so you have the numbers in front of you, we've got Artur Beterbiev at plus 116 and Dmitry Bivol at a slight favorite at minus 154. And the over is minus 200, 2-1 that it's going over. On the under, you get back 150. So let's get into a full breakdown, and then we'll give the prediction at the end here for our friends at MyBookie. Again, mybookie.ag, promo code Atlas.
The last time I can remember, at least in the modern era, of people looking forward to a light heavyweight unification fight to this level was maybe Dwight Kwawi against the great Michael Spinks. That might have been, it didn't turn out to be a great fight, but both those guys were at the top. Bivol Beterbiev. You have the technician, all right? He can punch too, but the puncher is Beterbiev. You got the technician Bivol. That's technically brilliant. And he's got so many avenues that he can go about beating you. So many ways. He's so dimensional. He can fight with you. He can control range, create traps, create counter opportunities, use his legs to get angles. He can use his jab to set stuff up on the outside, keep you at the end of punches. He can do just about anything inside that ring. And again, he's just so solid in every area. Beterbiev, he's a box of TNT. But he's a box of TNT in a wagon. He's not just standing there as a box. He's in a wagon. He comes to you. He delivers the nitro. He delivers the explosions. He's better than he's given credit for technically. He covers up well. He throws the right kind of punches, short, straight. I mean, yeah, Bivol gets all the credit for the polish. And he deserves it. But Beterbiev deserves more than he gets for doing the things that he does, for delivering the TNT, for doing it with a good jab, for doing it without getting out of position, without being off balance, by working his way in. Yeah, you can hit him. You can hit him easier than you can hit Bivol. But you can't just hit him without consequences. Because when you hit him, he's usually close enough to come right back and hit you. Or he gets close enough. He closes the gap quickly, smartly. Sometimes when he sees you stepping back, he actually leaps in. Not recklessly, not like some people do, but he leaps in with a jab, a hard jab, like a sledgehammer jab to catch you as you're going back. So he does smart things. He does things that he don't get credit for. At the end, he gets credit because he leaves you in a heap.
Yeah, but by the way, just for context, for the people that don't know, Beterbiev 20-0 with 20 knockouts, and Bivol 23-0 with 12 knockouts. I don't know that the lack of knockouts for Bivol is indicative of how hard he hits, but Beterbiev, you should know, he knocks everybody out. That's a fact. He's been indestructible.
And he does it a little bit like Pereira.
That's actually a good comparison, I think.
He applies pressure. He has a presence. He has an aura. He has a seriousness about him. Part of it is connected to his record, to his physicality, to what he brings inside that ring, to what he does in that ring. Also from where he comes from, geographically in the world. He comes from a place of hard people. Comes from a place where there's a code of warrior type code of conduct in times of battle. He adheres to that. He adheres to that code. He's mentally as strong as he is physically. That is a combination that is rare or is not easily found, put it that way. People have it, but it's not easily found at that level. He's a guy who's steady. He's consistent. He doesn't know what the word discouraged is. He is a guy that feels that he's going to get to you. He doesn't care when, but he will get to you. And like Pereira, he's that vice that slowly and gradually and slowly and surely closes the vice, tightens the vice with that presence, with that pressure, with that power He hits you with a jab and he lets you think about, if it hurts that much, what are the other punches going to feel like? He's a guy that hits you anywhere to hurt you, to slow you down, to send a signal, to send a message that if I can touch you, I can own you. I can break you. And I will, because I'm here to do that. And he's done it, as Ken said, 20 times in the ring, 20 times he's broken people. Physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it takes. Here's the difference in this fight for me. And this is it. I don't think anyone else has touched this. He's fought guys before that could outdo him technically, speed-wise, jab-wise, boxing-wise. They could outdo him, but they couldn't outlast him doing that. Because where they couldn't match him was in the mental area, where they couldn't keep him from, they could keep him from touching him with the physical part to a certain point, but they couldn't keep him from touching him in the mental areas, where he made inroads, where he made advancements mentally, where he brought the soldiers forward into the areas where he starts to invade your home. He starts to invade the territories that armies look to invade when they're breaking another army, when they are advancing and taking over another army, when they are about to claim victory over another army. They invade a certain territory. He invades that territory, that mental territory of making you believe you can no longer stop the inevitable, that you can no longer stop from doing what all armies want to do, conquer. He's meeting a guy in Bivol who I believe has the ability, the mindset. He comes from a part in the world too that breeds that kind of code, that kind of mental readiness, that kind of mental toughness, preparedness of war, of hardcore toughness, of resilience, of the ability to say, I will not be conquered. I also cannot be conquered. He does it differently. It looks different. It doesn't look as menacing. It doesn't look as stark. It doesn't look as dangerous as Beterbiev's is. But it's there. It's there. It's there where it matters. It's in his soul, in his heart, in his mind, that he is of that cloth, of that kind of makeup, where I will not be broken, even by people that come to break you. I will not. That, for me, is what makes this fight maybe the fight of the century in its own way. In its own way. Nothing's going to match the original fight of the century Ali Frazier won. Nothing. But this, in its own right, is special for the they're both undefeated, they're both champions, all the belts on the line. But for what I think is the reason I just put forward, that maybe for the first time, Beterbiev is matching with a guy that not only has the artillery, not the power necessarily, but the other guns. There's all kinds of guns. They don't all have to be howitzers. They don't have to be all, 2-ton, bunker blasters. They can be machine guns. They can be, sniper rifles. They can be all those things. He brings that. He brings the ability to have a chance to beat Beterbiev, which other people have. but with the other part. Maybe for the first time. With the part that's the most important part, the mental part. That part. And because of that, I don't think Bivol's getting broken. Now, he might get physically overrun by body shots if Beterbiev can close the gap, which he's going to have to take something to do that. And there's a couple things that go with that. His skin. He's almost 40. Forget about Father Time. I'll get to him in a minute. But his skin. He's got the older skin that has been cut. It has been cut. It has been stitched. There is scar tissue. You know, he doesn't care about blood. He don't care. But if he does get cut, and cut bad enough, does that possibly impact a stoppage? Possibly. Depends on what's going on. Depends on how the fight's going. Depends on how bad the cut is. Depends on who the referee is, quite frankly. But that could come into play. But the most important thing for me is that Bivol can handle what's going to be thrown at him mentally. That, to me, is the most. And again, Beterbiev, he's better than people think he is technically. He will use a jab. He will step out of range and then step back. He will go take a walk around the corner, like the old timers said, when he has to take a walk around the corner and not stand in front of you. But he will come to you with that jab. He will close the gap. He will look to go to the body. He will look to continue to apply pressure. And if he can close that gap and get to the body of Bivol, then he'll be where he wants to be to have the best chance to win. I'm going to say Bivol's going to control range. I'm going to say Bivol's going to use that jab. I'm going to say Bivol's going to use his legs. And I'm going to say when that moment comes, and it always comes, when the devil knocks at the door, and it happens to everyone when they're in a tough situation. I don't care what you do, boxing, being a lawyer, like my daughter, like my friend Pedro Martinez-Franco. I don't care, my friend Keith Sullivan, David Berlin, all of them. Sooner or later, whatever you do as a teacher in a classroom, whatever it is, whatever you do for a living, pitching on a mound, playing football, that moment's going to come when that knock's going to come at the door. And it's going to come. I believe that Bivol will answer that door. He will answer that knock. He will not allow that door to be broken down like it has been broken down by 20 other people that had broken down. 20 other people had it broken down by Beterbiev. I don't believe Bivol will let it be broken down. I believe he'll open the door and say, okay, here, take this. Bang! Take this. Bang! And he'll be right there. We'll see what happens. And at the end of the day, the best man will win. Not only the best man physically, not only the best man technically, but the man who can couple that, put that with the part I've been talking about, the mental part, which is 75% of this. In anything, to be successful at any high level, anything that's competitive, anything that's dangerous, anything that there's risk, whether it's emotional risk or physical risk, whatever it is, that knock's going to come. I believe Bivol will be ready for that knock. At the end of the day, I'm taking Bivol to win a decision. If you want to go, what is the under-over again?
All right, I've got a bunch of lines for you. So the over-under is minus 200 over 10.5, under plus 145. Or you can take, will the fight go the distance, yes or no, minus 170 plus 125.
I'm gonna take Bivol to win. Period.
And if you want Bivol by a decision, you can get even money, plus 101. $100 gets you back 101. If you take Bivol straight up, just on the money line, you're gonna lay 150, call it. So if you like him, if you're confident he gets the decision versus the stoppage, you get even money back. You save yourself $50.
I can see why people look for this to be an over fight. Obviously, I see that. Both guys, they're hard to get out of there. They're so good.
No one's done it.
I get it. You're right. But I'm going to take Bivol straight up to win. I'm going to take a play, even though I would favor going over, to be quite frank. I would take a play on the under because you're going to give me something to make it worth my while coming back at me.
150 back under 10.5, or you can get 123 for the whole fight going the distance.
I'm going to take 150 back going under 10.5, touching on the reasons I just said, that maybe cuts come into play and get the fight stopped early, or I love Beterbiev. Do not think I don't love Beterbiev. I love him. I think
Beterbiev by KO gets you back 160.
I love Beterbiev. I think I'm gonna stick with Bivol, gonna win the fight, but that takes nothing away from my admiration and my belief in Bivol and Beterbiev. But the reason I'll take a play on the under is the possibility of cuts, as I already said, and the possibility that Beterbiev does close those gaps and does get to the body and does land a clean shot, maybe a right-hand counter. A guy's going to beat you with the jab that Bivol's going to try to do. No better way to take away that jab than to counter it with a right hand. Beterbiev can counter with right hands over that jab. If Bivol makes a mistake and throws that jab from the wrong range, the wrong distance, he could get caught with a right hand, and that fight can go to Beterbiev very quickly. So the chance that Beterbiev can stop him legitimately, or with cuts, gives me a reason to take a shot at the under, but my main bet is Bivol to win the decision. And the only other X factor I promised I would touch on, besides the cuts, is what I said before. I touched it. Old man time, the guy who's undefeated. I don't know when Beterbiev's going to get old. He's coming to 40, right? He's just about on the doorstep of 40. I don't know when he's...
Let me give you the ages here. One sec.
He had a lot of amateur fights.
Beterbiev, 39 years old. Bivol is
34, right?
Is 33.
33. So 6-year difference. I don't know when Beterbiev... Everyone gets old. I'll tell you this, that I do know. So far, Beterbiev at this age, 38, 39, going towards 40, he's looked like a good wine that's gotten better. He's actually looked like a good... You could make an argument that he's looked like a wine that has improved with age. You could make that argument. But again, I don't know when the day's going to come that argument ain't going to hold water no more. Where you're going to say, oh, wow, Teddy, Beterbiev got old. I don't know. I don't know if it's coming. Point. But at the end of the day, I'm taking Bivol in what is, looking to be a historic type fight. Hopefully it becomes an iconic fight. Kind of like what Fury and Usyk became when they unified over in Riyadh. I was there with my son for that. When they unified all the heavyweight titles for the first time in 25 years. 25 years. They unified all the heavyweight titles. That fight was what you would hope that kind of fight with that kind of history would be. It was iconic. It was tremendous.
I can't see this fight not being good. Neither guy would give you any indication that he's not going to bring the will of a champion to that one. And I'm jealous. I wish I was going with you. I know it's going to be an awesome event. The Turkey Al-Sheikh doesn't put on boring snooze fests like some of the fights in the past. So I'm sure that everything around this fight is going to be off the charts and first class. So
they listen. And Hearn and I mentioned Warren. I gave him his credit. He deserves it. They do a good job. They got all the good fighters over in Europe. Well, they got them everywhere, but obviously they're concentrated out of England. But they got good, really good fighters. Obviously Top Rank is involved with Beterbiev, so I don't know if ESPN's going to have a presence over there. But Turkey Al-Sheikh has, he's changed boxing right now. In the last year, it's going to be 1 year. This will be my 5th trip there in a year. It
Jeez.
started in October of last year. It started
Wow.
in October. The first fight was Ngannou and Fury. That was the first one that got it started with Riyadh season, with the whole thing, with Turkey Al-Sheikh really coming into this business, and nobody knew how long it was going to last. Nobody knew to what extent there was going to be a change. But now they're starting to know. He has shaken up the business. He has made fights in the last year that just could not be made, that you wanted made, the fans, just you wanted made, but they weren't going to be made. They weren't going to be made. And the sport needed to be made, to be healthier, to be vibrant again, to be relevant again, relevant, all of it again. The sport needed it. And I don't know for sure what the future holds, but all I know is that it's brighter now in October of 2024 than it was this time last year. So
Yeah, I know something else. If I need some frequent flyer miles, I'm gonna call you, because back and forth 5 times to Saudi in a single year, you won't be paying for a plane ticket for a long time. That's a ton of frequent flyer miles.
not to
So,
mention dropping off at across the pond to our brothers and sisters in
oh
England
yeah,
last 2 weeks ago. You know, I love
Yeah.
you guys. You know that. I love all you guys. I love the crumpets. I just love you guys. Listen, I think there's great fans everywhere. I say it. But if I was forced to say the greatest fans in the world, I know there's the Mexicans, the Irish, the everything, blah, 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 blah. Oh, everywhere. Pacquiao had great fans, everyone. But you'd be hard-pressed to find better fans that have been around longer and that are more loyal. And all great fans are loyal, but you'd be hard-pressed not to find fans better than the English. You would. You really would. And you know, and I'll say it again. I've said it before. I'll be consistent. I'll say it again. When I die, I want to come back as a British promoter. Yeah, Sam. I do, Sam. I'm going to buy you a nice Rolls Royce. If you like Rolls Royce. If you
Sam
like
loves a
Rolls
Rolls
Royce.
Royce.
You know, since we're talking about the English team, I'll get you a Rolls Royce.
He'll
But
settle for a Ford Bronco.
whatever you want, you tell me. Just let me know.
Well, Teddy, safe travels over to Saudi. I can't wait to hear about it. This one's going to be a fun one to break down. Hopefully the fight delivers. I have no doubt that it will. But to the
And
fans,
there's some
thank
good
you.
undercard fights. There's some.
Oh, I'm sure. Like I said, they don't put on terrible everything about it. I'm sure the entertainment between fights is going to be just as good as the fights. I mean, having Eminem perform in LA was very aggressive in terms of a boxing show.
Turkey Al-Sheikh has done it the right way. He knows how to do it the right way. He's coming again. He's coming and he's helped make the sport right now, better. And as far as giving the fans the fights that that they won, hopefully it'll trickle down to other things and other fighters and continue to advance. But anyway, see you when we. Rob, get those videos up. Thank you, Rob, for getting those videos, because I know it adds to the show a little bit of fun to see those videos go along with the stuff that I describe. To see those. Who doesn't want to see a video of John Wick, right? Come on, or Denzel
right.
Washington.
Denzel's the best.
And what was the name of the Equalizer? There it is. I knew I'd get that. The Equalizer. I want to make sure I said the right one. That's the one I was talking about. Anyway,
Gotcha.
Talking about equalizers, let's equalize herself out of here.
That's it. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, please like and subscribe to the show. That's all we ask. And Sam and Rob, the two producers, or Rob the producer, Sam the video extraordinaire. Thank you guys for being with us. Thanks to all the fans. Teddy, thanks for doing this. Safe travels. And guys, we'll be back here next Monday with all the action from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Have a great week, everybody. Boom.